You know, for every 5% investment in after-sales support, the company's got back 25% return. So 5 times as much. That's huge. By keeping equipment operational, and after-sales support can help you meet production targets and deadlines to avoid penalties or loss of contracts. After-sales support is not merely a service, guys. It's a vital component of the drilling industry and basically can be the determining factor whether your company is still going to be around in a year or 2 or 3. Guys, seriously, what works the best is simply, I'm Mike Dobrota and this is TerraQUIP Talk. After years of providing drilling equipment solutions, I know that a project success hinges on reliable, high quality rigs that meet your needs. So if you're ready to make smarter equipment decisions and build stronger foundations, let's get started. Hello everyone, I hope everybody is doing great. Thank you so much for tuning in to another TerraQUIP Talk episode. Today we're going to be addressing the importance of after-sales support in the drilling industry. But before we do that, I just want to say a big thank you for taking the time to watch this and for giving us your attention. It really means the world to us. It really means the world to me. Now, please remember, we're still at the beginning. We're still finding our path here with TerraQUIP Talk and not know exactly where we're heading. But what we're absolutely certain about is 2 things. Number 1, we're having a lot of fun doing this, and it gives us great pleasure to share with you information and ideas we've gathered over the last 15 years in the industry. And number 2, that we will get better at this, and we will improve as the time goes on and the more episodes and content we will be creating. Now, back to the episode. I'm sure most of us agree the after-sales support is crucial in the drilling industry as it ensures business continuity, mitigates risk, and optimizes long-term performance of your drilling equipment. Now, when it comes to after-sales, it's usually split between servicing or repairs on one side and spare parts on the other side. However, at TerraQUIP, I like to think of it as 3 parts. That's servicing and repairs, spare parts, and number 3, the operation. What do I mean by operation? I mean everything to do with operating the rig, the commissioning the rig, the controls, the functioning of the rig, the transport, the drilling efficiency, and even solutions for improving productivity. Basically everything to do with helping you, the client, complete your projects in a safe and timely manner. This part of after-sales support is by far the part that I like the most in what I do, because being on site with a brand new drilling and piling rig and being able to interact with the operators and job site people to show them the controls and how to adjust the rig or the computer for measuring the pile parameter is my favorite part of the job. I remember when I used to work as a sales manager many years ago, I used to love going on site, taking photos, talking to the people and learning about the operation of the drilling machines and getting their feedback. Now, slowly at that time, I also learned how to operate myself. And at the beginning of TerraQUIP drilling equipment back in 2018, one of the things that actually helped me at the beginning in a financial way to put food on the table, for my family, because I was still in the initial stages of setting up my business, was literally to go out and operate for some of my clients. Operating on a weekend, operating on different projects. It's actually funny. One of the previous episodes, someone left me a little nasty comment there. He said like, "Oh, have you ever drilled a hole in your life, buddy?" And of course I replied, "Just ask your mother." Just kidding. I'm just kidding. But yeah, I definitely did, joke aside. And not just a few holes, I've actually drilled whole projects from beginning to the end. And I'm not saying by any means they were like super complicated projects or anything special, but still. Not to mention, we also need to drill actual holes, but without concreting them, of course, at our TerraQUIP premises. And why? Because we need to test the machines at our yard, be it a machine that we've serviced or be it a brand new machine that just came from Italy and we're about to deliver. Now, going a little bit more into being a salesperson and being a sales manager, as I said before, that was my job many years ago. Usually, us sales reps naturally focus our time on making the sales. And again, that was me as well, right? While neck deep in the sales process, however, it's easy to lose track of what happens to the customer after the deal is done, right? So too frequently, we just move on to the next sale and the old prospects kind of disappear off the radar. And that's not okay. Before founding TerraQUIP Drilling Equipment, one of the things that I had in mind was to be a dealer that has the best after-sales support and be there for my client. And I'm not talking by any means about being Liber. I'm not Liber, with millions of dollars in worth of spare parts and a team of 100 technicians, but simply to try to be there available for my clients at the level that's possible for me. They've done I want to touch base on this because it's really important. They've done a study in after-sales support at one of the prestigious universities many years ago, and the results that came back were absolutely mind-blowing. Do you know, for every 5% investment in after-sales support, the companies got back 25% return. So 5 times as much. Now that's huge. Here's why after-sales support is so important in our drilling industry. Number one, business continuity and risk mitigation. Number two, cost management and return on investment. And number three, optimizing equipment performance and lifespan. And last, number four, building customer loyalty and trust. Now, I'm going to talk about each and every point. When it comes to business continuity and risk mitigation, preventing downtime by regularly maintaining and prompting repairs to minimize unexpected equipment breakdowns, ensuring continuous drilling operations, and preventing costly delays. We have minimizing risk. A well and maintained drilling rig is less likely to experience safety-related incidents, safeguarding personnel and the environment. Right? Imagine a machine, and we had this situation before, where you drop 300 liters of hydraulic oil on the ground. That's an environmental disaster, right? That's a big no-no. Then we have maintaining production and schedules. And this is a crucial one because we spoke about it in one of the previous episodes, where if you don't finish the project in time in our industry, the costs are absolutely unbearable. So by keeping equipment operational and after-sales support can help you meet production targets and deadlines to avoid penalties or loss of contracts. Number two that we're going to delve into a little bit deeper is optimizing equipment performance and lifespan. We have genuine spare parts and expertise, and the access to original equipment manufacturer, OEM parts, and expert technicians ensures the correct fit and optimal performance of the equipment. So let me detail a little bit this part because I don't want to be misunderstood. When I mean genuine parts, I mean more like important vital components of the machine, because when it comes to filters and oils and pads and things like that, as long as they're proven quality, even if they're not the same original brand, they'll be perfectly fine, right? We're not condemning that, right? But if we're talking about replacing a hydraulic motor or a replica with a replica of that brand, or replacing a slew bearing ring or something crucial and structural in the machine with something that maybe not approved by the manufacturer, I personally don't recommend it. I don't think it's the greatest idea. And I understand people that have to do that, whatever they can, in the market to get by and get that machine back up and running. But still, I recommend using our original spare parts that are approved by the dealer and are supplied by the dealer. Regular inspections and maintenance can help identify potential issues before they escalate, extending the lifespan of that drilling equipment. I've come across and I had to deal with drilling rigs in my career that had over 13,000 hours, as previously mentioned in one of the episodes, and they were still in incredible condition, right? Still incredibly good condition. But at the same time, I've also had to deal with some machines. They're only 2 or 3 years old, believe it or not, only 1,000 or 2,000 hours on the clock, and they were just deplorable state. One of the rigs I remember, as soon as we dropped the oil from the rotary head, it was completely black, super thick and full of mud. And one of the winches, I can't remember exactly which one, I think it was the main winch, but instead of having about 2-3 liters of gear oil inside, it only had like 500 mil and under. And it was also full of concrete everywhere, present on the main components. And we were actually entrusted with a complete overhaul of this machine. And after I think it took us about 3 to 4 weeks of intense work, spare parts, refabrication of components, the bill was like something close to like $140,000. And the rig was still not in brand new state, right? We did great, and it was still a good machine, but that's simply because it was not looked after to begin with. And us as technicians, we can only do as much as we can to get them up to speed. Now, another point is performance enhancement, and proper maintenance and timely repairs can improve drilling efficiency, reduce energy consumption, and optimize overall operational performance. So when it comes to productivity and efficiency on site, repairs and maintenance done in time are absolutely essential. And we've seen it time and time again. Same brand, for example, same model, and only a few years apart. One of them that's been looked after, had all the servicing done in time, was drilling something like 20 to 30 meters a day in hard basalt. The other one, exactly the same model, only a few years older, and it was only going to half of that. Same tools, pretty much same operator. The operator was interchangeable, and it was getting a lot less production. Why? Because it hasn't been looked after so well. So if you want a machine that's productive, that's efficient, you gotta make sure that you keep on top of the maintenance. Now, another point that we said we speak about, it's point number 3, and that is cost management and return on the investment. Reducing the total cost of ownership, basically. By preventing major repairs and extending the equipment life, after-sales support can contribute to the lower overall operational costs. And absolutely it does. Having a machine that has been properly looked after, a machine that has been properly cleaned after each project and has had addressed all the issues in time rather than letting them become bigger problems, have proved to have such a positive influence on the resale value of those pre-owned drilling machines. And we spoke about in one of the previous episodes, if you want to check it out, we're actually talking about what influences the price of a pre-owned drilling and piling rig or anchoring rig or any piece of construction equipment for that matter. Number 4, we have building customer loyalty and trust through, and stronger relationship, basically building stronger relationships through a proactive after-sales support and responsive service. You'll notice that it would actually build trust and strong relationships with the customers. I've always said that building stronger relationships and maintaining them through time is one of the most important aspects of building a business. And getting customers to trust you, it's extremely difficult, right? It takes a huge amount of time, a lot of work, whereas losing them, drop of a finger, right? It's extremely easy. So through after-sales support, we are not only building, but maintaining those customer relationships day after day, month after month, year after year. Another point is of course, the word of mouth, right? That's a very important way to advertise your business, and satisfied customers through your after-sales department are more likely to recommend the company to others that will lead to new business opportunities. There have been many times where we've had opportunities to get new clients because of someone that spoke highly of us, or simply because we started working together on the after-sales department, on the after-sales side of things, by servicing their machines, and then they purchased our complete Marini or IMT drilling rigs as well. And another thing that creates, let's say, word of mouth is actually our machines as well. If they drill well and they're maintained well, and you're on a job site, and someone sees you, they see there the brand IMT, provided by TerraQUIP, automatically they'll go online and be like, wow, I saw that how good is drilling. I saw how good it does, for that client. So I'm just going to call these guys, if I want to buy a machine that's drilling. So it's not only us, it's actually the machines as well that create the advertising by the places where they're going. Of course, assuming that they're drilling well and they don't have breakdowns. When it comes to repeat business, in my opinion, the biggest indicator of customer satisfaction is the fact that clients come back to you and you get to continue to provide that service to them and the product that you're offering, not only for a few months, but year after year. Now, let's dig in a little bit in the spare parts. That was the servicing side of things, right? The labor part, right, with the technicians. Now let's talk about spare parts, because you can have the best technicians in the world, and many of them, but if they don't have the spare parts available on your shelves locally, it's incredibly difficult to have good customer relationships and retention and positive feedback, right? And of course, and especially since majority of the drilling manufacturers are, because they're European and we're in Australia, it can be extremely difficult to get spare parts and could take weeks, before you get a spare part. I'll give you an example. If the manufacturer sends you a spare part package, the fastest possible way, right? We got the most expensive way that you can possibly send a part from Europe to Australia, air freight, so by plane, it'll still take 5 to 7 days before you actually have it in your hands in Australia, depending, of course, on the size of the package. If it's just a little seal that's like 10 centimeters in diameter, of course, they put it in an envelope, it's like 3 days. But if it's a bigger component, say 3 meters by 1 meter and by another meter, so 3 by 1 by 1, altogether will probably take you about 8 days. And that's not including the weekend, right? You have to add that up. So as an equipment provider of drilling rigs, you have to make sure that you've got a good amount of components available on your shelf. And as a drilling contractor, before you purchasing a drilling rig, you have to make sure that the dealer that you're purchasing from, right, has the necessary parts available. But having all the parts and components available on stock that are composing a drilling rig is absolutely impossible. I guarantee you that. So then what do? What do you do when you have a screaming client, a machine that's down, and liquidated damages, of $10,000 a day? Well, at TerraQUIP, we've done a combination of factors over time to make sure that we offer good support to our clients when it comes to spare parts and components, right? Because breakdowns can happen. You never know when it's going to happen, but it will happen. One of the strategies that we applied was we promised ourselves that with every single drilling and piling rig that we sold, or any piling machine or anchoring machine or equipment in general that we brought from Italy, we assign a certain percentage from our profit to purchasing the critical amounts of spare parts right then and then. So when the machine comes, it automatically comes with a package of spare parts. Strategy number 2 that we've done, we actually made a list together with the manufacturer, and we actually went based on 1,000 working hours of functioning, 2,000 hours or 3,000 hours, up to 3,000 hours, and said, hey, what did you notice that it's being used the most? What sort of components have you been asked to replace within this working hours range? We asked our manufacturer, right? And then they gave us a list of components, and then we actually order them in advance before they become necessary. Now, I'll speak a little bit more in depth here about what exact components are usually necessary and why. And when it comes to critical spare parts, I mean, all the parts required for servicing the machines, they can be categorized as consumable, and that's filters and fluids, right? Your oils, your gear oils, your engine oils, your hydraulic oils. Then you have your ropes, be it main winch rope, auxiliary winch ropes, or service winch ropes, as they call it. And if the configuration allows it, if you have, for example, a winch crowd system machine, it's going to be the crowd winch rope. And then, of course, we have the pads, the Teflon pads or brass pads, depending on the manufacturer, depending on the machine and the size. And those pads are usually the rotary pads, the A-frame pads, super important, the A-frame pads of the Kelly bar, as well as the rotary, right? And on top of the Kelly bar, we have the A-frame as well. And you also have like a ring. It's like a circle made out of pads. That's important as well, because on some rigs, that actually rubs on top of the rotary. But they're not as common, right? Then we have simple electrical components such as fuses, and this is something that every single operator should put in his toolbox, right? When we sell a machine, we give you a toolbox that has fuses, relays, and timing relays, solenoids even. I know some machines have multiple different solenoids, but it's relatively a cheap part, and you should also accompany the rig everywhere you go, because it could save you quite a few dollars if you have the solenoid there on hand. It's very easy to replace it, right? It's just a plug, you take it in, you put it back in, that's it, done. Then we have things like seals. And I know there are 1,000 different seals and O-rings in a drilling rig, depending on its size. So a good quality seal set and even a seal maker kit would be recommended, right? Not always, but yeah, some people have that as well. For example, the tilting cylinder seal kit, the boom cylinder seal kit, the rotary seals, and of course, there's so many other seals that we don't have time now to mention. Now, one item that gets used a lot, and it's not a consumable and is subject to so many little incidents and accidents, is the cabin glass. Now, which one of them, right? Because there are about 8 different glasses on a drilling rig, so different 8 components made out of glass. And having them in stock is super important, because there's been times when the job cannot be restarted unless you have the glass there ready to go, unless the cabin is complete, basically. I remember a couple of years ago, one of our interstate clients called us that they broke the door glass on their machine, and their client would not allow them to restart working unless it was back on, unless the cabin was intact. The problem was we didn't have that glass in stock, but we did have a brand new machine, and considering all the cabins with IMT machines, they're pretty much the same between almost all the models, we suggested to the client, I said, hey, listen, what if we take this brand new complete door, we'll send you the door, which is extremely easy for you to replace. You send us back your door, because his machine was pretty much new as well. You send us back your door with the broken glass, and then we'll replace the glass for our stock rig at our own time. This way, you're back up and running. And that's exactly what we did. The client was back up and running in 24 hours, and we received a very nice long message, saying how thinking outside the box and how great we were, for helping them. Just quickly, need reliable drilling equipment for your next project? At TerraQUIP Drilling Equipment, we offer tailored solutions with top-tier support to meet your project needs. Contact us using the links in the show notes to find the perfect equipment for your drilling project. Now back to the episode. Now, strategy number 3 that we've done, we work with about 50 different local suppliers and we simply try to find replacements for those parts if we need them urgently, right? But this is before they become available, before they become necessary, right? So be it seals or bearings or pads or ropes, whatever you have, we try to work with local suppliers that do that specially. They specialize in, let's say, ropes. And of course, they'll be able to have better prices for us as a sub dealer and sell through us. Strategy number 4 that we have applied in terms of spare parts is have our own technicians that have been able to adapt different parts and components, especially if they're mechanical parts. And again, this is not a solution that we highly recommend, that I highly recommend, but this is just a substitute at least until the genuine part arrives, so you don't have a machine that's standing down, because remember, if it's not turning, you're not earning, right? I just thought I slipped that in there. Okay, strategy number 5, and this is a cheeky one. I know for a fact every single dealer does it, even reputable ones, and of course they're going to be like, no, you can't do that, but of course we do it. And now let's say you have a couple of complete drilling rigs in your stock. They're waiting for a client, and another similar rig breaks down, exactly the same model, right, on a very busy job site where you need a particular component that you don't have in stock. Of course, you're going to use the stock unit as a donor to speed up the repair. And then you can order, from Italy or from Germany, whatever, that particular part in order to fix back to get it back up and running your stock model, right? And even if you have a client that has a machine that's sitting there, let's say it's a used machine that's been there, and it's been waiting for its next project, and for a fact that the owner has said like, oh, I'm not using that machine for the next 3 months or 6 months. With the owner's permission, you can actually use that rig as a donor as well, and we have that done in the past. Now, this is not a very common occurrence, and of course, we try not to do this, and in fact, we actually have clients that they ask us to promise we're not going to do this for their rigs, and of course we respect that, right? But if we have a very close relationship with them, they're just next door from us, of course we're gonna employ that strategy too. Strategy number 5, if we really have to bring the parts from overseas, then we would flag it. Let's say everything else has failed, all the other strategies that have failed, number 1, 2, 3, 4. The last but not least is, of course, we're gonna try to ask our manufacturer, the factory that we're buying the machines from, will ask them to flag it as urgent and deliver it in the best possible way to fly it in Australia. And usually that works because let's say something happens at, 1 o'clock in the afternoon and we need a part. Because of the 8 to 10 hours different time zone difference with Europe, by the time they wake up, they'll see it first thing in the morning, and then by 11 o'clock in the morning their time, they'll be able to post that particular part and give us a tracking number, which means we saved pretty much 1 day. Okay, but it's not recommended to do it like that because it's still going to take 3 to 5 to 10 days, depending on what it is. But guys, seriously, what works the best is simply optimizing the spare parts inventory. What that means is getting accurate recommendations for spare parts based on the equipment usage and the potential wear and tear to help avoid unnecessary inventory costs. And last but not least, part of this episode is to do with operation. Remember how I said we have the servicing or repairs, we have the spare parts, and number 3 that I like to look at it is part of the after sale is the operation of the machine. I like to include this in the after sales. Well, first of all, because after the after sale has been completed, it has to do with the safe operation and control of the machine. And that starts with commissioning, right? And a startup of a drilling, of a brand new drilling and piling, or even a second-hand one on site, or at the client's yard, or even at our own premises. During this phase, what we do is we get the operator, we show them every single control and button and lever. We run them through a daily maintenance of the rig, even some of the basic troubleshooting as well, in case any drama comes up. And most of the time, the operators would be of course, perfectly capable of just jumping in the drilling rig and starting to operate. And that's simply because the general controls of majority of the rigs are pretty much the same. There are very small differences between them. But in case that there's a unit that has been fitted with, let's say, CFA instrumentation, because we're also the dealer for Gampel and Hatlapa, which is G&H computers, they're German computers. It takes a little bit longer for us, first of all, to set them up, but also to run the operator through the adjustments of the computer in order to achieve the best possible outcome for our client. So in terms of, as I said, in terms of instrumentation, we work with G&H computers. They're made in Germany, and they can be installed literally on any class of drilling and piling rig, regardless of the drilling methodology that's set up in. G&H computers are capable of recording the power parameters of Kelly bar, drilling, continuous flight auger, low headroom, jet grouting, soil mixing, and so on and so forth. But the best thing about this computer, since we're talking about operating them, is how user-friendly they are and how intuitive they are. That's why people like them. So by going on site and being able to assist the operator with the commissioning of the drilling rig, it gives us the opportunity to speak to different job site people and get their feedback on the machinery, the methodology, as well as to build a relationship with them. Most companies and most operators have had a lot of experience and know exactly what they're doing, but believe it or not, we've had situations where the operators we were training were completely new to being an operator sitting in the cab, and our role became a lot more critical in making sure that the operator understands the safe and efficient drilling processes. And although we know how to operate the machines, we are not certified trainers, right? Be very careful there. And we cannot give a VOC document to an operator. So we always emphasize to the companies that we're working with that the commissioning and pre-start process with the dealer is not to replace the proper training of the operator, okay? We're not trainers by any means. We are simply showing the operator let's say, the particulars of our machines, the computers, the daily maintenance, and then other things that we include is literally going through the user manual of that machine, highlighting together with the operator the essential components of the rig, let's say the steps in transport, demob, rig up, the cleaning, and as I said, the daily maintenance processes. In conclusion, during the commissioning and the startup process, we would go with the operator through every single greasing point, and depending on the area that they're drilling in, choosing the type of grease, the frequency in which it should apply. And during this phase, we would also like to take the opportunity to continuously learn ourselves and improve our processes as well as our knowledge from the operator that we're dealing with, from the job site people that we're dealing, and people that have been in the field basically, and that's what they do day in, day out. So it doesn't matter how knowledgeable you are in this industry, honestly. And then, of course, I can't speak about after-sales support without touching base on the warranty part of things, because this is such an important topic, and I feel it's still very misunderstood by a lot of people. Okay, so I'm actually going to dedicate an entire episode because there's so many things to cover about warranty. But in conclusion, like in just briefly, warranty when it comes to a drilling rig is either 1,000 or 1,500 hours or 12 months, whichever occurs first. Okay. So whether you got 1,500 hours or 12 months of usage from the moment that we actually sign off the commissioning report, the startup, then that's when your warranty expires. And there are situations where for a certain, let's say, percentage of the price of the rig, you can increase the warranty to 2 years or to 3 years. But those are extremely rare cases. And of course, if something happens, let's say at 14 months or 15 months, so 2-3 months after the warranty expired, a lot of times we try to help you. We try to be understandable and be like, okay, no worries, we'll cover this up. But just remember, in warranty, you've got the labor and the spare parts covered. You don't have covered the actual travel of the technician with the spare parts to the job site that, let's say, you've broken down, even if the machine is under warranty. And that's simply because we cannot know in which remote part of Australia or of the world you're going to be drilling. So then maybe it's going to take us 3 days to get there. The transport costs and the traveling costs are going to be huge. We can't prepare for that. It's your job to prepare for that as a drilling contractor, yes, But it's not our job, and we can't prepare for that because then we need to sell the machines at exorbitant prices. I hope that makes sense. So in conclusion, what helped not only my clients, but also my company was my exposure to the actual job site reality, being close to the operators, paying random visits on site, and either by taking photos or videos or simply by going and seeing how things are going and getting people's feedback, basically going there and being annoying with them, right? But it wasn't annoying because I was actually very productive. And I think my clients appreciated that a lot about me because they could see my passion that I have for these machines, and not only talking about brochures and catalogs, but by actually being present on site. In conclusion, after sales support is not merely a service, guys. It's a vital component of the drilling industry, impacting operational efficiency, safety, long-term success, and basically can be the determining factor whether your company is still going to be around in a year or 2 or 3. It's an investment that pays off in terms of reduced downtime, optimized performance, cost saving, and last but not least, stronger customer relationships. I'm Mike Dobrota. Thank you so much for watching another episode, and just remember, if it's not turning, you're not earning. See you next time. Thanks for tuning in to TerraQUIP Talk. If you enjoyed this episode, the best way to support us is by leaving a 5-star review on Apple Podcasts and Spotify. And don't forget to subscribe on YouTube so you never miss an episode. You can also find out more from me on all social media platforms. The links are below. Until then, remember, if it's not turning, you're not earning.